Hello everyone, I'm so excited for today's video because I'm finally doing another song to book recommendation, which always end up being my favorite videos. They're my favorite to film. It's my two favorite things in the entire world, music and books. I've already done a full Taylor Swift songs as book recommendations, but that was prior to the Midnights album coming out. So today I'm doing Midnights as book recommendations. I'm doing the entire album with the 3 AM tracks and I'm so excited. I love looking at the lyrics and comparing them to the plots of the books and just finding which ones go together. So today I'm going to be pairing books that I've read to songs on Midnights. But before we get into it, I want to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Book of the Month. You guys know I love Book of the Month. It's a book service that sends you a book every single month, and because it's Black Friday, there is a special deal going on where if you use the code CYBER5 you get your first book for only $5, which is insane. This is the best price you can get for new release hardcover fiction. This box will get delivered to your door and inside is your book. This month I got Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I'm really excited about this because I've read a book by her before and I loved it, so I'm excited to give another one a chance and have it as a hardcover. It's beautiful. And then they always come with the cutest little bookmark. I have like a whole collection of them. This one says, "If you were a book, you'd be a classic." And then the next book I got is the second book in the Legendborn series. This is Bloodmarked. This is a big book. How exciting. Their team vets hundreds of books every single month, and then they come with a curated list for you to choose from, full of new and early release titles, so you can spend more time reading and less time researching. So if you're interested in Book of the Month, which you definitely should be, you can click the link in my description and use the discount code CYBER5 to get your first book for only $5. Okay, now let's get into the Taylor Swift Midnight songs as book recommendations. Starting off with the first song on the album, which is Lavender Haze, an insane intro. I love this song. When I first heard it, I immediately started trying to compare it to books. It's giving very One of Us is Famous trope, with the lyrics kind of being like, "I've been under scrutiny, you handle it beautifully, all this shit is new to me. I find it dizzying, they're bringing up my history, but you aren't even listening." First book I thought of was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because this book, I've talked about it a bunch, you should definitely read it, and so many songs from this album remind me of this book. Actually, so many Taylor Swift songs in general. I kind of feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid and Taylor Swift kind of ghostwrite for each other because there's just too many comparisons between her books and Taylor songs. Anyway, this book is about Evelyn Hugo and her rise to fame. She's like an actress in early Hollywood. The whole media kind of just knows her as being like the most beautiful woman ever and having all of these husbands, but then it also has a romance, a secret romance that shows Evelyn outside of the way the media perceives her. So it's like her actual life in her actual romance rather than all the things the tabloids are talking about. It's an incredible book with an incredible song. And then one more book I also feel like reminds me of this song is Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. This is One of Us is Famous. This girl is an interviewer and she interviews her celebrity crush and they end up like falling for each other, except they interview each other like one time when they're younger, when he's starting on his come up of being really famous. They have like a connection at first, they spend this night together, shit goes down, and then they don't see each other for like 10 years. And then she interviews him again 10 years later when he's like on his downfall in Hollywood, and like the media is slandering him, he's losing a bunch of jobs, he's going through some shit. They reunite and she kind of remembers who he used to be and she sees him for how he actually is. I feel like if you like the song, you'll like this book. Okay, the next song is Maroon, which is my favorite song on the album. I love it so much. But it was honestly hard for me to come up with book recs for this song, except right from the first time I listened to it, the first lyrics, I came up with this connection. This song kind of reminds me like telling a story of quickly falling in love with someone, having a really instant connection, and then also the falling out because of how quickly you fell in love. Maybe you didn't really know each other that well, or maybe it just didn't work out, or whatever it was. When the morning came, we were cleaning incense off your vinyl shelf because we lost track of time again, laughing with my feet in your lap like you were my closest friend. How'd we end up on the floor anyway, you say, your roommate's cheap ass screw top rose, that's how. For some reason, as soon as I heard that, I was like, that reminds me so much of Quinn and Graham from All Your Perfects, because in this book they meet in the hallway outside of an apartment where both of their partners are cheating on them with each other. From this instance, they have like this instant connection, they have this obviously this shared experience, but then they quickly fall in love, like very quickly, whirlwind romance, right? This story is told in past and present perspective, and you're watching them when they're first falling in love and this crazy quick romance, and then later in the future when they're married and their marriage is falling apart. The vibe of this song just matches this book as well, just saying, when the silence came, we were shaking blind and hazy, how the hell did we lose sight of us again? Sobbing with your head in your hands, ain't that the way shit always ends? You were standing hollow-eyed in the hallway. All of that just reminds me so much of Quinn and Graham and this book in general. So yeah, I feel like if you like the kind of sad interpretation of that that song, then you would like this book. But it also reminds me of Every Summer After, which this book is a little more happy, but it's also told in past and present perspective because it gives that element of like falling in love, falling out of love kind of. This book is about two kids who spent every summer at a lake house or a beach house or something together, and then they were best friends and you're watching them fall in love when they're young, and then something happens, they have a huge falling out, and then you are getting past present perspective of her coming back into town like years later with no contact with him, and then this romance kind of re-sparking, but also they're having to forgive each other for things. I thought of the song just because of the whole like I lost you, and then also just the rust that grew between telephones, the lips I used to call home, so Scarlet was maroon, just like kind of second chance aspect. I just feel like it fits really well and I really like it. When I told my friend I was doing this video, she basically screamed at me that if I don't include this book or if I don't read this book before the video that I still have to include it, and it's Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino, which has been on my TBR for like 2 years. And I don't know why I haven't gotten to it because I know I'm gonna love it, and I've been saving it for like a moment where I feel like I'm in a slump and I need a really good book to get me out of it, because I know this book takes place in New York and I know it's a second chance romance, and she said it's kind of like normal people vibes, so I just know I'm gonna love it, and I don't know why I keep putting it off, but I just thought I would recommend it because she said maroon perfectly describes it. If you were curious, maybe you should check this book out. Okay, the next song is AntiHero, which I think is like the most popular song on the album right now. Taylor Swift kind of wrote it about herself, all the things she sees wrong in herself, but people continue to praise her, and she kind of just critiques herself throughout the whole song. And a lot of the lyrics she uses reminded me so much of Lily and Lo, specifically Lo from Addicted to You. This is the first book in the Addicted series, so obviously the whole Addicted series reminds me of it, but this is my favorite series of all time. You need to read it. I just still have the OG cover. Does anyone even have this left? It's like vintage and rare now, I feel like. The lyrics of the song are just, I have this thing where I get older but just never wiser. I should not be left to my own devices. They come with prices and vices. I end up in crisis. That's what reminds me of Lo. Actually, it reminds me of both of them. So this book basically deals with Lily and Lo, who are childhood best friends. Their parents are like super billionaires, like old money, own corporations, and they live in Philadelphia. They grew up together in this like high society, and now they're in college, and they both struggle with addictions, and they're trying to cover up for each other, so they start this whole fake dating ploy to help each other cover up their addictions in front of their families and from the media. And they obviously like fall in love very quickly because they've had this connection since they were kids. They've always loved each other, but now they're seeing how much the other one's struggling, and it's not healthy to be together, but they want to help each other so bad. I've never read a book with two people who love each other more than Lily and Lo, like ever in my entire history of reading. Have I ever read anything like this? It's like a soulmate, like I just can't even explain it. You have to read it to know. I wake up screaming from dreaming. One day I'll watch as you're leaving, and life will lose all its meaning. So them. Like every lyric I could read is literally so them. So yeah, I feel like that is just a perfect connection, AntiHero to Addicted. And if you haven't read this yet and you watch my channel, what are you doing? What are you doing? Read it. Okay, the next song is Snow on the Beach, which the entire premise of this song is just being so surprised and taken back that you can't believe someone finally likes you back, or the fact that someone's giving you this attention. You wanting me tonight feels impossible. I can't speak, afraid to jinx it. I don't even dare to wish it. Can this be a real thing? Like the whole just like being so surprised that something's working out. Can't even comprehend it, but it's like the best thing ever at the same time. It really made me think of The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams, because this book is a friends to lovers, but they became friends in high school, and then now he's a famous football player. So it's like one of us is famous, but she's still like his best friend. But it's so obvious because you're in both of their perspectives, and they openly admit in their heads that they're in love with each other. But the other one doesn't know that they're in love with each other. So it's like they don't want to cross that line and ruin the friendship that they have, because they're actually like best inseparable friends. Then there's kind of a fake dating kind of aspect that gets added in, and when stuff finally starts coming out and starts working out, I feel like they're both so like, how is this falling into place so perfectly? Like, how have I loved you for so long and now it's finally coming together? Like, I thought it was a really cute book. If you love friends to lovers, you should definitely check this one out. And then the next book I thought of when I thought of this, The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I'm sure you've read and or watched the series. It's a love triangle between two brothers and their childhood best friend, and she goes back and forth between the boys a lot. But me being Team Conrad, the older mysterious brother, I just thought of this immediately because she's had a crush on Conrad since she was a kid, like little, and he's never looked at her that way. And then suddenly this one summer, things start changing. They start kind of flirting with each other. She's like, maybe he does like me, but like it's too perfect. I can't even say it. I can't even act on it because I don't want to ruin it. And of course it takes place at the beach, so the whole snow on the beach aspect, I just thought it was like a perfect tie-in. Imagine they put snow on the beach in the next season of the show. They use so many Taylor Swift songs in it. That would be so iconic. Okay, then this song might just have my favorite comparisons because they're just so perfect. It's actually unreal. is You're on Your Own Kid, which is one of my favorite songs on the album. And then these two books, like so perfect, it's actually absurd. So first, Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Again, like I said with the ghostwriting, it's just too perfect to be real. Basically, if you combined You're on Your Own Kid and Matilda by Harry Styles, it would actually be an entire summary of this book. You wouldn't even have to read the book. It's like you already read it if you listen to those two songs. Basically, this book is about an oldest daughter who has 3 younger siblings that she essentially raised because both of her parents are not present, and her dad like literally ditches them, leaves, and becomes this huge Hollywood celebrity. Doesn't help the family at all, and Nina is left taking care of her whole family from like the age of like 13, maybe even younger. When she's a little bit older, she gets scouted. Her and all her siblings are like surfers, and she got scouted one day when she was surfing and became like a swimsuit model. This caused like so many men to just objectify her, but she's so beautiful. She just blew up and she became a really big celebrity. She got married to another celebrity. This whole book takes place over the span of one night of her and her siblings throwing this huge party at her mansion that they throw every year where everyone in Hollywood comes, except you're getting all the different siblings' stories and perspectives, as well as her parents' story of how her parents met. And so it's like flashing back and forth, and you see the parallels of how a parent's relationship can affect the children. You see how the parents inflicted trauma that manifests itself in all the different kids' lives just throughout this span of this one night, and how like the cycle repeats itself. It's so good. I recently annotated this for my best friend, and I just felt like I connected to it so much more when I was like deeply analyzing it. And then Taylor Swift drops You're on Your Own Kid, and it's just like the most perfect song for this book. From sprinkler splashes to fireplace ashes, I waited ages to see you there. I searched the party of better bodies just to learn that you never cared. I can't even explain how perfect that is. If you read it, you'll know. I hosted parties and starved my body like I'd be saved by a perfect kiss. The jokes weren't funny, I took the money. My friends from home don't know what to say. It's just so good. Like the whole You're on Your Own Kid, you always have been is literally Nina. I love this so much, so you should definitely read this if you like that song. And then Hot House Flower is part of the Addicted Calloway Sisters series, which I just talked about, but this is about the youngest sister. She just wants to impress her parents, and such a people pleaser, she can't really say no, and her mom pushes her into the modeling industry, kind of like Nina actually, but she's in the modeling industry from a really young age, and she's just objectified and torn down and has no self-confidence, and she looks up to her 2 older sisters so much, who are the characters from the other books in the series, and they're kind of older than her and don't really include her until this series where they start to realize, and it's her coming into herself and her falling in love with this older guy. He's kind of the only one that notices she's struggling and the only one that helps her. This whole series is found family, and it's so amazing, but this book specifically, I just love Daisy so much. She's probably the one character in the entire world where I'm like, I relate to her and I see myself in her so much that it like takes me aback when I'm reading it. Like her thoughts, I'm like, that's something I would think. It's crazy. And then from the song, just saying like, I play it cool with the best of them. I wait patiently. He's gonna notice me. It's okay. We're the best of friends. So her. I called a taxi to take me there. I searched the party of better bodies just to learn that my dreams aren't rare. They were pages turned with the bridges burned. Everything you lose is a step you take. So make the friendship bracelets, take the moment and taste it. You've got no reason to be afraid. You're on your own, kid. You always have been. It's amazing, and probably my favorite book in the series. I don't know, it's so hard for me to pick. Okay, one honorable mention that I just thought of while analyzing this, and I'm not gonna get into it, is Normal People. This verse just saying, summer went away, still the yearning stays. I play it cool with the best of them. I wait patiently, he's gonna notice me. It's okay, we're the best of friends. I hear it in your voice, you're smoking with your boys. I touch my phone as if it's your face. I didn't choose this town, I dream of getting out. There's just one that can make me stay. I see a vivid TikTok edit of Connell and Marianne to that part of the song because I can picture each scene that perfectly fits with that. So if you've seen that edit, because I'm sure the TikTok girlies are already on it, please send me it or tag me in it. You know I love this show and this book. I love this song, and I just know someone's already done that because it's too perfect. Okay, next song is Midnight Rain, which I'm obsessed with. I think it's such a cool song, and it kind of immediately, obviously the first thing you think of is like reverse Grumpy Sunshine, because it's the girl saying he was sunshine, I was midnight rain. And I was trying to think of books that I really know that fit that trope, but also the rest of the song, and I couldn't think of too many, but I have like 3 that kind of fit this general song, but maybe not that specific part. The first one I thought of was Daisy Jones and the Six. While this isn't like reverse Grumpy Sunshine, the essence of this song, like the Midnight Rain, like is so Daisy Jones. Like this book is about a band that is rising to fame, and it's told from all of their perspectives. It's so good. The quotes in this book are so good, but also at the same time, my favorite part was seeing like the complex relationship between Daisy and Billy, who are the 2 main characters and the 2 lead singers of the band. They have such this interesting dynamic because Billy's married, he has a family, but you can just feel something between him and Daisy, and you don't know if it's like love or hate, or they just have this connection between them, but you know it's just not gonna work out. This book is such a real and like raw depiction of how like love can be. I feel like what reminded me of it in Midnight Rain is kind of, he wanted it comfortable, I wanted that pain, I was making my own name, chasing that fame, he stayed the same. Also, the part though that made me think of it was, it came like a postcard, picture perfect, shiny family, holiday, peppermint candy, but for him it's every day. So I peered through a window, a deep portal, time travel, all the love we unravel, and the life I gave away. Kind of reminds me of like Daisy looking at Billy's life with his family, being like, we're never gonna have that, and I'm gonna have to be okay with that. Oh my god, and then the ending, the part where it says, I guess sometimes we all get just what we wanted, and he never thinks of me except for when I'm on TV, and I never think of him except on midnights like this. So good. And then I also thought of, in like a lighter way, is Falling for Temptation, which is a good boy, bad girl trope. She's like this super badass tattooed girl with like a dark past, and he's like really innocent, sheltered, leaving home for the first time and going to school, and he's immediately intrigued by her, even though they're like complete opposites on the outside. They get to know each other, they have such a good connection. It's so cute. I loved this book because he's just so innocent. She has like this past that's not resolved, and he has to try to help her, and they're just so different but also so compatible, and I just really liked it, and it reminded me of the song a lot. And then last for this song is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. In this book, Nora is kind of like a badass, very assertive businesswoman, and she often gets called like a bitch for it, and she hates that. She has that reputation, but also she's not going to change to appease like the other men in the business. And then one day she takes a vacation to this small town, and it turns out her rival from her job lives there in this tiny town, and they both live in New York City, so it's like, what are the odds? And they start hanging out in this small town a little bit, getting to know each other. They kind of like don't like each other at first, but like they grow on each other quickly, and they're in this small town setting, which makes it so much cuter. The whole chorus of being like, he wanted it comfortable, I wanted that pain, chasing that fame, he stayed the same, as well as, and then I feel like the part that's my town was a wasteland full of cages, full of fences, pageant queens, and big pretenders. And then my boy was a montage, slow motion, love potion, jumping off things in the ocean. I broke his heart because he was nice. I really recommend this book. If you like that song, you'll like this book. Or you'll like all three of these books. Okay, the next song is Question, which is such a good song as well. Obviously all of them are, but I feel like the one I chose was really perfect. Red, White, and Royal Blue. This book is about forbidden romance between the Prince of England and the first son of the United States. They start off as being kind of enemies, rivals, and then their parents like force them to go on these like friendship dates so that the media can catch them like liking each other and getting along. And then over time, like they start texting, and like the prince is gay, but the first son of the United States doesn't like know what's going on, and he's a little bit confused. And then they're like texting late at night, like feelings are starting to get caught, and it's really good and really cute. And like the butterflies in this book, oh my god, so good. And it's kind of like they have to be a secret because there's so many expectations put on them and so much pressure. And that's the part that made me think of this song, because there's the part, well, first in the beginning, we had one thing going on. I swear that it was something, because I don't remember who I was before you painted all my nights a color I've searched for since. But one thing after another, situations, circumstances, miscommunications, very much them. And then the whole like, can I ask you a question? Have you ever had someone kiss you in a crowded room? There's like a part in this book that reminds me of that. And then really the part that made me choose this was, it's one drink after another, politics and gender roles, and you're not sure and I don't know, got swept away in the gray. I just may like to have a conversation. So then the whole politics thing, like perfect. I just really recommend this book, and it's becoming a movie, so you should read it before it comes out. Okay, the next song is Vigilante shit, and immediately I knew what I was gonna choose, because vigilante literally means, isn't it like someone that tries to enforce a law or like get justice, but they're not actually like a cop or someone, like they're just like a random person that takes it upon themselves? And how could you not immediately think of the Mindfuck series? This is all 5 books in a bind up, so it looks really huge. This is one of the most addicting books I've ever read. When I tell you I couldn't put it down and I had to just keep going, I couldn't stop. I could not stop. I read each book in like one sitting. Sometimes I'd read 2 books back to back because it's just so addicting. You need to know what's gonna happen. So basically in this book, without spoiling anything, because this is literally what you find out in the beginning and on the back of the book, Lana is on the hunt for revenge, and she is a serial killer, and you don't know why or like what really happened that caused her to be like this. And this is very dark, so if you don't like dark romance, this won't be for you. But I don't really like dark romance, but I do love like a good true crime story, and that's why I think I really loved this. It's like true crime romance. She's a serial killer, then the male love interest is the FBI agent who's trying to figure out her case, but he has no idea it's her. So the whole time, the anxiety, you're like, do I want him to find out? Do I not? How is this gonna go? What if he does find out? Why is she doing this? There has to be a reason. She's getting her revenge. It's fucking crazy and dark and twisted, but also addicting. And in Vigilante shit, like the whole thing, draw the cat eye sharp enough to kill a man. You did bad things, but I'm the worst of them. They say looks can kill, and I might try. I don't dress for women, I don't dress for men. Lately, I've been dressing for revenge. I don't start shit, but I can tell you how it ends. Don't get sad, get even. Ladies always rise above. Ladies know what people want. Someone sweet and kind and fun. This lady simply had enough. I can't even think of a more perfect depiction of this book. I feel like Taylor Swift probably read this book and was like, you know what? I'm feeling inspired. Next song is Bejeweled, which I knew right away what I was gonna choose for this. I interpreted this song as someone being like kind of flexing on their ex or flexing on like their partner who's like doing something wrong, and they're like, you shouldn't keep acting like this because if I every time I walk in the room, everyone still wants me. And I could have anyone I want, so if you keep acting like this, you're gonna lose me. That's how I interpreted this song, so right away I was like, oh, this is perfect. Magnolia Parks, duh. There's literally sand falling out of this book because I read it on the beach this summer. My friend Ellie annotated it for me, and I'm just like seeing all her little annotations. That's so cute. This whole book is about childhood best friends who fell in love, and it has a cheating trope, so if you don't like that, that's immediate warning. I've never been more infuriated in my life than at the male character in this book. I literally despise him, but again, it's so addicting. It's literally like, you can't go into this book expecting a romance. You need to go into it expecting entertainment, like you're gonna watch Gossip Girl or something. At no point was I ever like, I think that they should be together because it's such a great relationship. No, I was like, they're awful for each other, but also like, it's so entertaining. Like, they keep going back and forth. They're never happy. It's so toxic. The male character in this book, BJ, treats her so badly so often. It's like when they're good, they're really good, and when they're bad, they're really bad. But the thing is, Magnolia, every boy wants her. That is like her superpower, because everywhere she goes, everyone in that room looks at her and wants her and wishes they could have her, and BJ knows that, and he gets jealous and territorial even though he's acting up. And that's why I feel like the lyrics like, I think I've been a little too kind, didn't notice you walking all over my peace of mind. Putting someone first only works when you're in their top 5, and by the way, I'm going out tonight. So then when they're trying to flex on each other, best believe I'm still bejeweled when I walk in the room. I can still make the whole place shimmer. And when I meet the band, they ask, do you have a man? I can still say I don't remember. Literally so Magnolia, whenever BJ's acting up, she will find a replacement man, and they're like, aren't you dating BJ? No, we actually broke up this morning. So addicting. Like, if you're in a slump, this will infuriate you and make you feel every emotion imaginable. I'm not even kidding you. Okay, next song is Labyrinth, which I think I found a really good one for it. Just because the song kind of paints a picture of like someone being scared to fall in love again, or they can't believe they're falling in love. So I feel like the whole beginning of the song, like, it only hurts this much right now, was what I was thinking the whole time. I'll be getting over you my whole life. The beginning of the song remind me of a breakup that ended really badly, or something tragic happened. And then the chorus goes into, uh-oh, I'm falling in love. Oh no, I'm falling in love. And then kind of acceptance, like, oh, I'm falling in love. I thought the plane was going down, how'd you turn it right around? From that, I immediately was like, wait, that is actually the epitome of One True Loves. This book, first of all, incredible. Oh my god, a book of the month bookmark. BRB, ignoring my responsibilities. This is not a spoiler, I promise. Literally find out in the first chapter and on the back of the book. Emma was married to like her high school sweetheart. They were so in love, or they were at least, were they engaged or married? I don't know. Then one day, he goes missing. Find out that his helicopter or his plane crashed or something happened, and they pronounce him dead. So she is devastated and she has to mourn him and get over him. But from the first chapter, you see she's with someone new, and it's like a couple years later, she's with a new guy, she's in love, but she gets a phone call and it's her first husband saying, they found me, I've been alive this whole time, they finally found me, I'm coming back for you. But now she's in a relationship with a new man that she's so in love with. She's a changed woman after grieving, and she's so shocked that he's coming back, and she doesn't know what the right thing to do is in this situation. I mean, who would? And it's kind of her relationship with both of them throughout this book, and I thought it was so good. You know how much I hate that everybody just expects me to bounce back just like that. And then the whole rest of the song just being like, uh-oh, I'm falling in love again. And I kind of feel like she felt this kind of guilty feeling that she fell in love with someone new, even though that's what she deserved. Like, she deserved to be happy after losing her husband, but now he's back, and she's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Because now I love 2 men. Okay, next song is Karma, which I was gonna say Mindfuck series again because that fits it as well, so definitely recommend that. But basically this whole song being like, Taylor Swift wrote it being like, I get all this good karma. Like, karma is my boyfriend, karma's my cat, karma's the breeze in my hair on the weekends, like all of these things that are good coming to her, and then being like, aren't you envious that for you it's not? Like, they're getting bad karma, you're getting good karma. Ask me what I learned from all those years, ask me what I earned from all those tears, ask me why so many fade but I'm still here. And I couldn't think of a good one for this that really fit like the haha fuck you to like your ex, because that's what I was trying to think of. And then I remembered that Birthday Girl exists. which I haven't talked about this book in so long, kind of forgot it existed. This book, first of all, taboo. Second of all, it's about this girl who had a really shitty boyfriend. Like, he was awful. By the end of the relationship, she was so done with him. She ends up dating his dad. Now tell me that isn't the most epic karma you've ever heard. Your boyfriend treats you like shit, so you go and get with his dad. Like, that's insane. There's a build up to that. It's not like an immediate, oh my god, karma, I'm gonna get with your dad. It's kind of like the dad takes her in because the boyfriend leaves her homeless. The dad feels guilty that his son is treating her like shit. There's like instant chemistry and like so much angst between them, and like they know they're not supposed to be together and they avoid it for so long, but there's like all these little moments where they're like, oh my god, like does he like me? Does she like me? Like whatever. But I definitely think it's like the ultimate like karma to her ex, just being like, I'm literally your stepmother now. Like, fuck you. Okay, the next song is Sweet Nothing, which is such a cute and sweet and wholesome song. And I feel like literally every book I've ever read could kind of relate to this, because it's kind of just having the feeling of you have like a safe haven with the person you're in a relationship with, like away from the outside world. All you need is to go home and they don't need anything from you but you. And I was like, okay, literally every book, every romance book I've ever read is like that. So I tried to boil it down to like some like sweet, cute, but also like kind of fitting to the other lyrics of this song. And some of the lyrics being like, they say the end is coming, everyone's up to something, I find myself running home to your sweet nothings. Outside they're pushing, shoving, you're in the kitchen humming, all that you ever wanted from me was sweet nothing. On the way home, I wrote a poem, you say what a mind, this happens all the time. And the voices that implore, you should be doing more. To you I can admit, I'm just too soft for all of it. First book I thought of was The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout, because this is a childhood friends to lovers, but they go their separate ways. They were both, I think, in foster care together when they were younger, and they experienced so much trauma together, and he basically like saved her life, and they had like this deep soul connection. And now it's years later and she has all this trauma. She's adopted by a new family, but because of everything she's been through, she no longer speaks. But she decides she wants to go to public school, and she goes one day and the boy that she grew up with is in her class, and immediately they're both like, oh my god, like that's the person I grew up with, that's the person that like literally saved me. And it's their romance from there, but he's popular, she's new. And I thought it was really fitting because the whole all you ever wanted from me was nothing, to you I can admit I'm just too soft for all of it is so them. And also just the way like she doesn't speak to anyone, but he still like values and sees her and like doesn't get frustrated with her like everyone else. The girl is kind of healing from her trauma, and then while she's with this boy, she's seeing that he is falling deeper into it and he hasn't healed yet, and he's kind of just masked it, and now it's all coming to light. I think it fits this song very well. And then lastly for that song is Archer's voice. Oh, this is just the sweetest innocent boy's story where he also does not speak. The way that Archer just like adores Bree in this book, like he loves her. He's so sweet and so nice to her, and just if I could have any man in the world, it would be him. Like I want him so bad. Okay, last song on the actual album before we get to the 3 AM tracks is Mastermind. Obviously the whole song of Mastermind is what if I told you none of this was accidental, and it's basically Taylor Swift confessing that everything she did to make this relationship happen, like she schemed her way to like make things seem like fate and everything, but really she was plotting and she knew exactly how to get this relationship to happen. And for some reason that reminds me, ew, I hate this fugly cover of Kiss the Sky from the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. Rose and Connor, they were like college enemies, rivals, super smart. They both didn't want to admit that they liked each other. They've known each other since like elementary school or like middle school or something, but they've always just played it off as a rivalry, while really both of them were so obsessed with each other. And I feel like the whole scheme of how they came together, like Connor tutored her sister because he liked Rose, and like that's how it all started. And then they're just both so smart. Like their whole relationship is like a game of chess, like who can get the upper hand, and it's just so Mastermind. Like they are the definition of Mastermind, but they're also have like the sweetest loving romance, and I love it so much. I've never read characters like them before. They're like the most unique, like defined characters I've ever read, especially Connor. And the whole part of no one wanted to play with me when I was a little kid, so I've been scheming like a criminal ever since to make them love me and make it look effortless. This is the first time I felt the need to confess. I love this book in the series, and you need to read this series, as you can tell from this recommendation video. And then another book that is so Mastermind is Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. This is the last book in the Twisted series. So Christian, as much as he like wants to seem like he doesn't give a fuck about anyone or anything, he is so obsessed with Stella, who's like this quiet, shy social media influencer. He like schemes how he's gonna get with her by offering her and her friend to live in his apartment building for super, super cheap just because he wants her to live there. And so she's able to move into his building. That's really, really nice. She doesn't want to be in a relationship. If anything, like, it's the last thing she wants, but they can't deny this connection they have between each other. And he is definitely the mastermind. Like, he's definitely planned this out and knew exactly what he wanted and how he was gonna get it. And then when she finds out about this, that's when the drama starts. So okay, now onto the 3 AM bonus tracks. The Great War is all about like having to fight to finally be happy in a relationship. Like, you guys had to go through a lot of shit, but you came out together. And obviously the first thing I thought of was Addicted to You, overcoming their whole addictions, the whole media tearing them apart, absolutely destroying them. But in the end, they came out stronger and healed and amazing. It's the Addicted series for sure, but I'm not gonna get into that again. Oh, this is like painful, but the Song of Achilles, I can't even spoil it. You know what, the song is not completely fitting, but there is a great war, and they were the hand that they did reach for. All that bloodshed, crimson clover, the bombs were close, and my hand was the one you reached for all throughout the Great War. This is a Greek mythology retelling of Achilles and Patroclus, and one of my favorite books ever. I bawled my eyes out. I think it's so beautiful, so painful, and just the ending, I won't get into it. Okay, the next song is Bigger Than the Whole Sky, which is like a fucking sad song. I interpret it to be about grief and losing someone before you can fully get to know them and who they might have turned out to be. I'm not even gonna summarize some of these books because they're obviously gonna be spoilers and they're sad. With the whole like chorus being goodbye, 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 you were bigger than the whole sky. You were more than just a short time. And I've got a lot to behind about. I've got a lot to live without. I'm never gonna meet what could have been, would have been, what should have been you. 1,000 Boy Kisses. A little bit of a more mature romance, but it's still similar to 1,000 Boy Kisses. But 1,000 Boy Kisses is very, very written for a younger audience. Very immature, kind of like corny, but still sad. Bright Side by Kim Holden, heartbreaking, so good. Similar, full tilt, bawled my eyes out, but so good. I feel like every book that's sad, you know it's good because it made you feel something. And then lastly is Darling Venom, which this one's a little different. It's not as fucking soul crushing, but definitely has that bigger than the whole sky aspect, but then there's like a second chance. There's like 2 kind of romances within this book. So yeah, those are the books for Bigger Than the Whole Sky, but I can't even really summarize them without spoiling them. Okay, next song is Paris, and this whole song, despite like talking about Paris a lot, is about just being so in love with someone that you don't even like pay attention to anything going around you, and it feels like you're in Paris. You could be anywhere in the world, but like it feels like you're in Paris. You're so in love and just everything's amazing. Someone's gossiping to her and she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm so out of the loop. I've just been so caught up in my romance. Stumbled down pretend alleyways, cheap wine, make-believe it's champagne. I was taken by the view like we were in Paris. Privacy sign on the door and on my page and on the whole world. Romance is not dead if you keep it just yours. I have 2 recs for this. First one I thought of was Daisy Hates, which is the second book in like the whole Magnolia Parks universe. This book is kind of like mafia romance, but like the mafia sister. It's her romance, but also like so frustrating, like Magnolia Parks. Nothing's gonna go smoothly, you know that. But I feel like there was like a point in this book where they were just like so in their own world and in their own bubble, and you were like, finally they're so happy and they don't know what's going on with any of the friend group and anything that's going on. If this book were a movie, like that song would be in the soundtrack. Like, I don't know why, but it just felt fitting, especially with the whole like privacy sign. Like, no one really knew about their relationship. They were keeping it very much just theirs. And I feel like Christian, who was part of like Magnolia and BJ's friend group, kind of became so out of the loop while he was with Daisy because he was so caught up in it. And then obviously I thought of Anna and the French Kiss because it takes place in France. I think it's young adult. It takes place at boarding school. She's an exchange student and she meets a boy there. He has a girlfriend, but they're in the same friend group. They hit it off really well and a relationship forms, and they like have all these adventures around Paris and in their boarding school. And it just reminded me of the song, obviously, because it's called Paris. It's a sweet romance. Okay, the next song is High Infidelity, which I feel like is so underrated. It's been one of my like most played recently. But the whole premise of the song is, I think, about cheating on someone, being unfulfilled in a relationship and finding fulfillment in someone else, which is kind of fucked up, but it's just like you weren't treated right. You needed to find someone who would treat you right, even though it's not like morally correct. That's kind of what the song is about. And I immediately thought of Serenading Heartbreak by Ella Fields because this is a love triangle, but not in the shitty like cheating kind of way, but more in the first romance is between the brother's best friend and her when they're younger. He just like does not have his shit together, but like she's so in love with him and like it's kind of her first love and whatever. He ends up going on tour and leaving, and with no explanation they kind of stop talking. She's devastated. He does not treat her right. He'll like randomly talk to her on the phone, whatever. But they fall out of touch. She goes to college and she meets a new boy who seems perfect. I was rooting for this man. As much as I loved the whole first romance, I was rooting for the second guy because he treated her so right. It was kind of like too good to be true. And so then it's her romance with him, and then later in the book it's like the back and forth, who are you gonna choose? First guy's back, he says he's changed, he wants you again, but now you're in love with someone else. And I feel like the lyrics kind of like, do you really want to know where I was April 29th? Do I really have to tell you how he brought me back to life? You know, there's many different ways you can kill the one you love. The slowest way is never loving them enough. Ouch. But this book, like, I read this in one sitting because it's like one of those ones like you can't stop, because like who is she gonna choose? Like, I don't know who I want her to choose. Actually, I did know who I wanted her to choose, but like I didn't know what she was gonna do or what the right thing was or how she was gonna go about it. It was addicting. Okay, the next song is Glitch. I have a couple books for this one. Starting off in the beginning of the song is we were supposed to be just friends. So that immediately got me thinking of books, right? And then it says, I was supposed to sweat you out. So then I was like, okay, it was just supposed to be a hookup, but now you're obsessed. I think there's been a glitch. 5 seconds later, I'm fastening myself to you with a stitch, and I'm not even sorry. A brief interruption, a slight malfunction. I'd go back to wanting dudes who give me nothing. I thought we had no chance. So I was thinking, okay, we need like a friends to lovers, maybe they hooked up. It was not supposed to be more than that. I thought there was gonna be nothing, but there was. So first I thought of the kiss quotient, because this book is about Stella and she hires a male escort to kind of get her comfortable with intimacy, and they're literally just supposed to sleep together. Like, that's the whole point, is they just sleep together for like practice, but they have such insane chemistry and he just understands her so well that obviously a relationship begins to form, feelings start being caught, they start liking each other. It was definitely not part of the plan, but it happened anyway, and that's why I feel like Glitch relates to this one. Then I thought of A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner, which this is one of the most frustrating books I've ever read, because it is one of those books, kind of like Normal People, where they just keep missing each other and it's never gonna work out. They always want each other, but either someone's moving to a different state, someone's in a relationship, someone's getting a new job far away, whatever. It's just so frustrating. But they met each other because he was dating her best friend, and then they broke up, and then they became really close friends. They were just supposed to be friends, and they obviously fell in love, and it's just the most frustrating thing ever. And last for that song is The Friend Zone. I feel like I don't talk about this book enough because I did really enjoy it. They meet each other and immediately he's intrigued by her and she's like, no. She puts him in the friend zone immediately. He ends up starting to work for her, so they're in forced proximity all the time. They're in the same friend group. 2 of their friends are getting married, so they're very connected. But she friend-zoned the fuck out of him. She has another boyfriend, and her boyfriend's in the military, so like she doesn't really see him often, but he knows she's dating someone. They both know it. They don't act on their like attraction towards each other until shit goes down. She decides she's gonna give him a chance, and it's supposed to be just like a little let me get you out of my system, because she has a secret she's keeping from him that she thinks will ruin everything, so she never tells him. It's actually really, really good. I love friends to lovers, so this was like right up my alley. Okay, we're almost done here. Now we're on Should've, Would've, Could've, one of my favorites in the album, but so I don't want to say sad, but yeah, it is sad. It doesn't sound like a sad song, but you listen to the lyrics and it's basically all about being manipulated by an older man when you're younger. At first I couldn't think of a book for this, and then it hit me when I really thought of the lyrics. So some of the lyrics are, I would have stayed on my knees, and I damn sure never would have danced with the devil at 19. And now that I'm grown, I'm scared of ghosts. Memories feel like weapons. And now that I know, I wish you left me wondering. I literally have chills in my whole body. This lyric literally has the title of the book in it. So it says, God rest my soul. I miss who I used to be. The tomb won't close. Stained glass windows in my mind. I regret you all the time. I can't let this go. I fight with you in my sleep. The wound won't close. I keep on waiting for a sign. I regret you all the time. If clarity's in death, then why won't this die? Living for the thrill of hitting you where it hurts. Give me back my girlhood. It was mine first. This book, first of all, trigger warning, sexual assault. Let's just say that right off the bat. Don't read this. It's graphic. If that will trigger you, don't read it. I did not know that going into it. I had no idea what this book was about, so I'd like to just tell you that first. This is not a romance. Let's say that too. But in this book, our main character was sexually assaulted by her brother's best friend when she was like 13 or really young, really, really young. This whole book is about after she's sexually assaulted, how that affects her for the rest of her life. And you follow her through all these years of high school and her trying to form new relationships with people, and she can't because of how much this trauma has affected her, and nobody knows what happened to her. She hasn't told anyone, and her family is still so close with the brother's best friend, and it's literally sickening. Like, this book is Oh my, I've never read anything so like stomach churning in my life. I felt so bad for her, and the way she was acting, and everyone was so mad at her for the way she was acting, but no one knew why she was acting the way she was, because she's just so traumatized. And it's told in like 4 parts: her freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year of high school. So you see how it affects her in each stage of high school. This song is so perfect for this book. I really recommend this book if you can stomach it, or if this is something that you feel like you could handle. It is so powerful, and I want to say I recommend it, but just know what it's about before you go into it, because it's such an important thing to talk about and to be aware of and see how it actually affects people. And it's not just something that happened to you one time, it's a lifetime of effects, and it's so sad. Okay, we're up to the last song, which is Dear Reader. And at first I didn't know what to recommend, because this isn't like a love story song like most Taylor Swift songs are, where I'm able to relate them to a romance book. This is not. This is more giving advice to the person listening to the song. Like it says, Dear Reader, if it feels like a trap, you're already in one. Burn all the files, desert all your past lives. If you don't recognize yourself, that means you did it right. Never take advice from someone who's falling apart. All the lyrics are just advice to the listener until you get to the bridge. So I wander through these nights, I prefer hiding in plain sight. My 4th drink in my hand, these desperate prayers of a cursed man. You wouldn't take my word for it if you knew who was talking, if you knew where I was walking. To a house, not a home, all alone, because nobody's there. Where I pace in my pen and my friends found friends who care. No one sees when you lose when you're playing solitaire. It's not a romance that I'm recommending, but it is a memoir. Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton is like Dear Reader if it was a book. It is basically Dolly's life experience through, like it says, parties, dates, friends, jobs, life, and love. You get to see her life unfold. She tells it in such an entertaining way, of all of her relationships with men, with friendships. The importance of female friendships, I feel like, is like the entire overarching theme of this book. In the end, all the love that you need in your life is like your female friendships. This book was like so empowering to me, and like it was very entertaining because it tells stories about like parties, going out and having fun with your friends, and dating boys and sleeping around and like all this stuff. But then it comes down to like this, every chapter has a lesson, what she learned through experiencing these things, and what she wants to tell you about it. I ate this shit up, and I want to read everything she's ever written now, because I've been on the hunt for another memoir like this, because this was probably one of my favorite books I've ever read in my life. It just left me feeling like so fulfilled, even though it wasn't even my own story. So yeah, that's why I recommend it to Dear Reader. I hope you guys got some good book recommendations based off your favorite Taylor Swift song from Midnight. This video is really fun to do, as always. I always love doing these videos, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you love books and Taylor Swift, subscribe to me right now, because same. But if you want to follow me on my other social medias, they're all linked down below as always. Also, if you want to check out my Amazon storefront, which has so many different book recommendations on it, it's also linked down below, as well as my new merch line that came out. If you guys want to check that out, it's also linked down below. And I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye!